More excitement, more aircraft deals, and of course, more great aircraft dazzling air show visitors in the flying display. Day 2 of the Farnborough International Air Show is underway, and a lot already has happened since yesterday. Earlier today, Airbus had a bonanza of orders and memoranda of understanding for nearly 200 A320 and A330neo aircraft from leasing companies such as CIT, SMBC Aviation Capital, Bach Aviation, and Avalon. In addition to yesterday morning's announcement of the launch of the A330neo, or new engine offering, Airbus wasted no time in getting started on the program, announcing a partnership with Safran to supply engine nacelles for the newly launched aircraft late yesterday afternoon. Coming up, a chat with Airbus's head of flight testing and the always popular coverage of the flying display. Farnborough visitors as well as guests on Airbus Direct will be treated to the Airbus A380 and A350 XWB aircraft, as well as the A400M military transport. Airbus Direct's Day 2 coverage starts right now. Cheerio from 35 miles southwest of London. I'm Clay McConnell. On behalf of all of my Airbus colleagues around the world, I'd like to welcome you back to the 2014 Farnborough Air Show. We have a lot in store for you today. There's been a lot going on, but let's get to what it is you're really tuned in for. Let's take a look at the flying display. Currently flying is the Airbus Group E-Fan. It's a technology demonstrator. It's the first purpose-built, fully electric general aviation training aircraft. Being that it's electric, it obviously emits no carbon dioxide at flight, and it is incredibly quiet both in the air and on the ground. E-Fan's propulsion is provided by 2 electric motors with a combined power of 60 kilowatts. And the power comes from a series of 250-volt lithium-ion polymer batteries housed within the inboard part of the wings. The aircraft can fly between 45 minutes and an hour before having to return and be recharged. Airbus Group's short-term goal is to achieve a late 2017 entry into service of a 2-seat pilot trainer version of this aircraft. This will make it the first all-electric production aircraft in the world certified to international standards by civil airworthiness authorities. We're joined here today by my friend and colleague Harry Nelson. Harry is a former Airbus test pilot and currently serves as an advisor to Airbus in the product safety area. Harry, welcome to Airbus Direct today.
It's a pleasure to be here and nice to be able to talk to everybody.
That E-Fan is remarkably quiet.
Yeah, unbelievable. I watched it display yesterday for the first time and I was waiting for the engine noise, didn't hear a thing.
Up next, of course, is the world's largest and most efficient passenger aircraft, the Airbus A380. Harry, if I'm not mistaken, you have piloted that aircraft in a flying display at a previous Farnborough.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of working with Claude Lelay when he did the flying display from the left-hand seat here about, I think it was 6 years ago. And on a day very similar to today, fairly light wind, very pleasant conditions for an air display.
So you mentioned the conditions with a little bit of overcast. Is that helpful for a flying display, or do you prefer completely clear skies?
Well, this cloud base is fine for a full display, what we call a full display. It won't cause any problems at all. What's more troubling to the pilot is if you get a strong, what we call on-crowd wind, a wind blowing you onto the crowd. In this case, it's a very light breeze. It is on-crowd, but it's not too strong, so it shouldn't cause too much problem.
So what sort of flying display are we likely to see from the A380?
I think one of the objectives of all pilots demonstrating an aeroplane is to show what the aeroplane is good at, and to stay within that envelope, of course, but to try and take it to the edges of the envelope to let the crowd see and let the specialists see what the aeroplane is truly capable of performing. And we know that with our envelope protection, you can do some remarkable things with the A380.
For an aircraft of its size, the A380 is a remarkably quiet aircraft as well, powered by 4 Rolls-Royce Trent 900 engines, each delivering about 70,000 pounds of thrust on takeoff. The A380 also can be powered by the Engine Alliance GP7000 engine. So Harry, Airbus test pilots Christoph Kai and Hugues van der Stichel are at the helm today. What's likely going on in the cockpit in terms of coordination between the two crew members?
Well, you've got absolute concentration, of course, tremendous coordination also with the 2 engineers on board, because you've got the monitoring task of the aeroplane is largely down to the 2 engineers, while the 2 pilots concentrate primarily on positioning the aeroplane correctly and monitoring the safety aspects like speed and so on.
So it's not just flight test pilots that are on board. We also have flight test engineers.
Yeah, we have 2 engineers on board, one in the back watching all the systems, and a flight engineer effectively sitting between the 2 pilots who's monitoring the engines in particular. And right now, for example, as they're turning here, the captain is in a good seat to be able to see the turn, so he is concentrating on the turn. When the turn's in the opposite direction, then the co-pilot seat tends to have a better visibility, a better field of view. So he often helps with calling the turn, tighten or relax the turn and so on.
The A380, of course, is in its 7th year of commercial service with more than 130, in fact 135 A380s already delivered. The A380 program has 324 firm orders from 20 customers worldwide. And every day there are more than 170 commercial A380 flights. One of these aircraft takes to the skies about every 4 minutes somewhere in the world. Harry, I'm sure you've been asked this before, but what is it like to pilot an aircraft of this size as compared to the smaller Airbus models?
Do you know, it's an odd answer I can give you, because it actually flies quite like a light aeroplane in many respects. This aeroplane today, of course, is very light, unusually light compared with an airline aircraft. But even so, even a heavy aeroplane, because of the wing loading, it's a very big wing, handles very much like a light airplane. It's very maneuverable, it's very easy to position. And one of the subtleties of this, when you're watching a pro do this, like Christoph, is his adjustment of bank to make sure he positions the aircraft perfectly. The aeroplane allows him to do that very easily.
Tell us about this maneuver.
Yeah, if I'm right in the display, at this point, very soon, he'll pitch nose down, the gear will come down and he'll select full flap and turn away from the crowd to position for the final approach. Here goes the pitch down now. Gear goes down simultaneously. Full flap is selected, gets lots of drag out there, and then positions with a left-hand turn and then back right again for the final landing.
I've always wondered, that pitch down maneuver, do you sort of feel your heart rise up in your throat?
Well, not normally. It's normally called by the guy in the right-hand seat because he is looking to the right. He's looking at the crowd line, the safety line, and he calls that point where the pitch down takes place. That's what normally happens. And then in this turn, for example, the guy in the right-hand seat is calling the turn again, helping with the angle of bank, and the pilot on the left adjusts the bank accordingly to position correctly. So, no, it's not a particularly upsetting maneuver. You're expecting it anyway.
And as the A380 completes its flying display and comes in for a landing, the A350 initiates its takeoff roll. The A350 XWB, or extra wide-body aircraft, is Airbus's newest offering.
Simple. I was just commenting on the timing between the two aeroplanes. It's obviously cold, the two aircraft are in communication, but that was beautiful timing. The eye was watching the 350 take off and immediately transferred to the 380 as it landed. Really well coordinated.
What I'm sure all of the attendees here at the Farnborough International Air Show have noticed, in addition to the aircraft's graceful shape, is how incredibly quiet the A350 is. The aircraft is already gaining a reputation as the hush liner, thanks to the specially developed Rolls-Royce Trent XWB turbofans, each developing around 84,000 pounds of thrust on takeoff. The aircraft flying today is MSN number 4, manufacturer's serial number 4. It's one of the 5-strong A350 development fleet. MSN 4 is tasked with external noise measurement tests, low-weight flight envelope certification, avionics development and certification, pilot training for the first customer, Qatar Airlines, and also familiarization for the airline maintenance teams. The Airbus Flight Test Department is at full speed and on track for type certification in the third quarter of this year. Harry, I know you're not directly involved in the flight training program for the A350, but what do you hear from your colleagues who are?
Well, on both flight testing and flight training, I'm in contact with both. It's going very well, the program, and one must remember that the certification requirements have increased a great deal over the years. So when we measure how this program is going compared with previous programs, without a doubt, we've had an increase in requirements, an increase in activities peripheral, if you like, to the direct certification. But it's going very well indeed. I had the privilege of being in the aeroplane on Sunday and flying in it, and I know pilots who are going to fly this will absolutely love the experience.
The A350 XWB has won 742 firm orders from 38 customers around the world. The A350 XWB brings a step change in efficiency compared with existing aircraft in this size category. It uses 25% less fuel and provides an equivalent reduction in CO2 emissions. Harry, tell us about this maneuver.
Yeah, this is probably really the maneuver that got Airbus its name with the 320 and onwards. We do this maneuver in all displays. It's essentially flying on the alpha protection, so the aeroplane comes past the crowd at a safe height, and the aeroplane is slowed down until the aeroplane is sitting on its alpha protection. And the pilot is manipulating power just to maintain that. He's probably doing in the order of about 100 knots ground speed at the moment, that's all. So very, very slow for such a big aeroplane. And then as he escapes from this position, he'll simply put on power, as he's doing now, and climb away.
The A350 model being demonstrated here today is the A350-900 version, typically accommodating 315 passengers in a two-class configuration. It has a range of up to 8,100 nautical miles. Stay tuned to Airbus Direct after the flying display, as we will have a conversation with Airbus Flight Test Chief Fernando Alonso. Just as in the flight display yesterday, we get a bonus pass from the A350 with gear down, as the A380 is clearing the runway. The crew today on the A350 XWB is Peter Chandler and Frank Chapman. More than 70% of the A350's weight-efficient airframe is made from advanced materials, including composites. About 53% of its weight is composites. Also titanium and advanced aluminum alloys. The innovative carbon fiber fuselage results in lower fuel burn and easier maintenance. As the A350 XWB turns to approach for landing, the A380 has cleared the runway, and the A400M military transport prepares for takeoff for its flying display. A bit of a well-choreographed ballet, wouldn't you say, Harry?
Yes, I think probably getting that 380 hooked up and off the runway is a big challenge, but the guys have done a great job. And Ed's starting his role now on what is an outstanding military aircraft display as well.
As Harry indicated, the A400M today is flown by Airbus Chief Military Test Pilot Ed Strongman. Ed has brought his aircraft home to the UK, which is his home, for his last Farnborough Air Show before retirement. Harry, you've flown the A400M. What is it like to fly a big turboprop as compared to the full jet aircraft?
Now, I've got a background in turboprop aeroplanes, but I flew this airplane not too much, but I think the most outstanding difference is because of its military requirements. It's a much more maneuverable aeroplane, and I don't think we'll see a better display of the aeroplane than today. Ed Strongman has the controls in his hand, and he and I were very close together many years ago doing test flying at Bedford at the aircraft establishment. And yesterday's display was superb. This one is looking exactly the same today. So I think we're going to see this aeroplane demonstrated to its maximum performance ability.
The A400M can fly intercontinental missions at speeds and altitudes comparable with jet aircraft, up to 0.72 Mach and an altitude of 40,000 feet. But then, in terms of its capabilities, it can land on short or unpaved airstrips close to the point of need, making it an ideal performer both on military and humanitarian missions. The A400M can land on a gravel airstrip as short as 750 meters, delivering a load of up to 25 tons, which corresponds to a typical armored vehicle. The runways at Farnborough must seem like a superhighway by comparison to what it can accommodate.
I think one of the big differences for the pilot in the 400M is that your primary flight display is through the head-up display. So Ed will be using the head-up display throughout this display. On the civil types, then generally we use the PFD in the main cockpit position. But I'm sure that in this case, the head-up display is being well used, and certainly with both pilots' eyes outside the cockpit during this display, it makes life very easy indeed. The first of 10 aircraft for the Turkish Air Force has been delivered.
And almost a year ago, the aircraft entered service with the French Air Force, and it's already been deployed on operations to Mali and Djibouti. Altogether, 174 A400Ms have been ordered by 8 nations.
Just watching, that was a pass with the gear down. A fairly gentle bank turn away, but later on I think we're going to see Ed do a high-speed pass. We'll wait for it, and we'll see what bank he gets up to at the end of the maneuver.
Over the last year of flight testing, the Airbus A400M from Airbus Defence and Space has demonstrated its ability to operate from gravel strips during trials at Zaragoza in Spain in the heat of the summer.
He's about to do a very unusual pitch down here, and this looks an incredible maneuver to me. That's a really interesting maneuver as he picks up speed and then pulls out of it at his minimum height. Great maneuver, beautifully flown.
Harry, what sort of bank angle is that?
On that one he's about 80 degrees, but we may even see him go a little bit further than that. The aircraft has a capability of doing a little bit more than that, and yesterday he certainly went a little bit steeper than that. But of course it depends on his speed and his positioning. It's how he wants to position the aeroplane with regard to the crowd line. So he's adjusting that bank accordingly.
What's he doing at this point, Harry?
Okay, he's accelerating from that dive, and you see he's quite fast now, and at the end of this one we might see the bank go to a slightly different level. We'll see. So watch the bank closely here as he rolls. He's starting his roll now, and yeah, he's through 90 now. There's about 100, 110 maybe. Great maneuver.
The A400M, a beautiful and very capable aircraft. Coming up, the first examples of the A400M will be delivered to the UK's Royal Air Force and the German Air Force later this year. In service, it will be known as the A400M Atlas. As the A350 is clearing the runway, the A400M is positioning for a landing. Harry, what do you think of the overall flying display today?
Well, it's not quite finished yet, because we're going to see a short landing, I think, from the A400M, and that's going to be worth watching. What's impressive, particularly when you stand back from it, is what a small box these guys have been working in. I mean, you would think that with such big aeroplanes they'd be operating from one end of the runway and going out of sight, but they're not. They're actually, the turn, I understand, on the 380, for example, is within a mile. The whole thing is contained within a mile. And if you look at that 400M display, it was very tight indeed. So let's wait and watch for this performance landing. It's going to be a short landing.
the aircraft really showing its short landing capability there. Harry, what goes into a flying display like this when you consider it's not just the pilots, it's a real team effort, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's important to emphasize this. I mean, right now the crew will be pretty hot and sweaty. They'll be very relieved to have got this over, but if you notice, he's now reversing. But look behind us, and we've got all the ground crew guys who coordinated those aeroplanes off the runway. It's a complete team effort from start to finish, from briefing. The crews actually just fly the display in the end. In some respects, and they'll probably kick me for this, it's the easiest bit of the whole lot.
Great. Well, Harry, we very much appreciate your being here with us today on Airbus Direct. Appreciate your commentary and insight. Please be sure to stay in touch with all of the news from Farnborough. In addition to Airbus.com, you can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Vine, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Before we bid you goodbye from the Farnborough 2014 Air Show, we want to be sure that you stay tuned for a chat with Airbus Test Program Head Fernando Alonso. So until tomorrow, I'm Clay McConnell with Harry Nelson. Thank you and good day.
Since Le Bourget last year, it's amazing. It's only a year ago, 13 months ago, Le Bourget last year, flight number 3 of MSN-1. 1 year later, 13 months later, we already have 5 airplanes. We have clocked more than 2,200 hours of flight testing. And really, we're very close to certification. We have done most of the certification tests, only a few remain to be done. We have discovered from day one an airplane which impressed us by its maturity. I really believe that all the investment that we made in testing upstream as much as possible has really paid off. From day one, the airplane was extremely reliable, was mature. When we wanted to fly, we're flying. We're very close to the end now. And if I look back, what is the one single memory that I have? It's really about the people. It has been an incredible journey, and the people have been really incredibly supportive. Everybody has been passionate about the product. We have fallen in love with this airplane, everybody, and this is our baby. Next is going to be route proving, which is the last exercise before certification. Route proving is about demonstrating that the airplane is fit to go into service. And to do that, we will be operating MSN-5, which is an airplane with a full cabin, flying normal routes that the airlines will be flying, doing normal turnaround times. We will be doing short turnaround times. We will be visiting a variety of airports in the northern hemisphere, in the southern hemisphere, big airports, small airports. We will be flying for about 3 weeks. We will be clocking about 180 to 200 hours. Very intensive amount of flying. After that, we have 1 more week of testing in Toulouse, and that'll be it. There'll be time to deliver all the documentation and get the EASA and the FAA to deliver us the certificate of airworthiness. Some of the customers of the A350 have been involved during the development and the flight test of the airplane. We have an organization called Airline Office, which is working with the program. They have been regularly involved with the different activities that we're doing. They're quite impressed with the airplane. They think the airplane is mature from what they see of it. They have given us some indications of things which could be improved. They were very much impressed by the maturity and the severe testing that we did during the McKinley test and also during the Alain test, hot weather campaigns. So overall, they're very positive, but more importantly, they're extremely supportive. Whenever we ask them for an opinion as to what way should we go this way, should we go that way, they always give us a very, very positive opinion and helps us a lot in the design of the airplane. I believe the A350 flight test campaign is a significant breakthrough, because over the time, we had seen that the development flight test campaigns of airplanes were increasingly longer and longer and longer. I think on the A350, we're switching the tendency, and we're going to be certifying the airplane in about 13 to 14 months after its first flight. We have been able to do that because more and more the models that our engineers in the design office are coming up with before the airplane is actually flying are so precise. The capacity, the capability to modelize, to simulate is so good that more and more we're moving into a flight test campaign will be just about validation and doing in flight test only those things that you need to do where you have little molecules of air going over the wing. The rest, if you don't need molecules of air going over the wing, The rest you can do on the ground, and you can probably do before the airplane ever flies.